Hey, okay. So my lighting is different and I like to change up the background myself sometimes. But I'd like to discuss something. It's been a while since I posted a video. I have since lost weight on the scale since Thanksgiving. Hooray. I was able to eat Thanksgiving dinner and lose weight the following day. The scale got smaller. Um, I'm surprised. I enjoyed whatever I wanted at Thanksgiving. I didn't have seconds, but I still ate what I wanted. And I just kept to a natural diet. Um, the the healthy eating that I usually do. I keep going. Still went to the gym. Still worked out. And I guess my body just caught up with me. So that's a relief. So there's the update to that last video. But I'm going to transition over to another topic that I'd like to discuss, and that is about one that I haven't really touched up on very much, and it's about dating. uh, I come from such different ideals about dating, and I'm going to start because I never dated in high school. So I'm going to actually describe my experience with dating from age 18 on. So because I feel like adulthood started then, my responsibilities and my skill set and life changed after I turned 18. So it was not necessarily forced, but just like rite of passage kind of thing. So I'd like to discuss that. Um, First of all, I'm going to be upfront and honest. I am kind of very embarrassed to say this, but because I wasn't dating in high school and I adapted to the ideal that, or just the principle that, I'm overweight and guys don't want me. So I just accepted the no dating thing. But when I became 18 and older, one of the most concerning trends, I'm trying to word this right, that I ended up getting into is the internet and how easy it is to sit behind a screen and get lost in the world I wanted. And this is when Yahoo Messenger and Yahoo chat rooms were a big thing. So I literally created a world. I ended up getting involved in relationships that taught me how to flirt. I did a lot of dirty talking. There was a lot of picture exchanges. Yes, a lot of sexting. Um, there was long distance phone calls, and I definitely gave my parents a huge headache because I I gave them hundreds of dollars worth of phone bills. This is before I know if you are listening to this and you're like, what is she talking about? Then you definitely are too young to understand. Um, and I became very addicted to relationships online, and I would have multiple relationships online where it's like, oh, you're my boyfriend, and we would definitely have that relationship through the internet. And it was always with the ideal that we're gonna someday meet. There was always that little glimmer of hope that each of us gave each other to bolster that relationship. And so we fed off each other what we wanted from that. And oh gosh, the lighting really sucks. There's like shadows all over my face. Just noticing this. So I definitely became a fan of internet dating, not dating apps. I'm talking about online relationships. And this is, constantly talking to them, constantly calling them, constantly texting them, constantly messaging them, wanting to stay in constant contact. And I was always insecure. So it's probably why I had multiple ones, because one's probably going to leave me. I'm going to have another one. He's probably going to leave me. Here's another one. And so I always had constant backup plans. And I always had, if he's not available, well, at least he is. And oh, it was weird. It was so freaking weird. It was like a smorgasbord online. Anyway, well, then introduced, like, as I said, after age 18, I did become a little bit more involved in church. And I became, because I'm an adult and stuff, I became more aware of the fact I could do more in church as an adult. So I started becoming more involved. The church culture definitely um, led to a lot of relationship problems. And I'm not blaming church. Actually, I'm not even going to blame. I'm not even going to blame. I'm going to blame church, but I'm not going to blame the Bible because there's nothing in the Bible that even points toward this kind of behavior. Um, I was convinced for many, many years that there will be a guy who can come and save me. That there will be this Prince Charming who's going to come into my life and whisk me away and take care of me, and he's going to support me in any kind of pursuit I do. And in fact, one of the major things that I think was really toxic is that I always, when I planned or thought about future goals, like 5, 8 years down the road, I literally was thinking about, well, it depends on if I have a husband, if it depends if I have a significant other. I was always looking towards the option of another guy being part of my life. And I was like, well, that depends. If I'm married, then I don't know if I'm going to be having kids. And like, I literally had that mindset where it depended on if I was going to get married. And so a lot of them, I never really had a future plan or future goals or anything like that. So I never made him. Sad, but that's literally what I was doing. And the church culture made me believe that my life did not start until after I met the one, after I met my husband. That's when everything would start. That's when we'd start a family. That's when we'd find where we wanted to live. That's where we would explore new adventures together. Like, we would just be total lovey-dovey. And I had this Christian ideal, and it's stupid because that's what they make you believe. And I'm going to say they, I mean churches. I mean generally church culture. That's what they want you to believe, is that while you're waiting, so like the word waiting made you think like, oh, if I'm just patient enough, but that never happened for me. And not only did not happen for me, I mean, I did get married and I'm divorced, but none of that happened. Like, the ideals I had when I was married, it never happened. I was just in love with marriage. That's what church culture taught me to be, is in love with the concept of marriage. But when I was faced with the actual realities of the relationship, it was so deflating. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm not really searching for marriage anymore. I just want connection. And then after that, I was just lowering my standards, just like my list got lower and lower. And before you know it, like, that list I made when I was 16 years old, um, definitely disappeared. there was no there was no standard to which I was going by. I was just whoever wanted to bite the bait. Like, I just was so, it was definitely a behavior of settling. And so I believed that. And then the I think the whole toxic part is that I had friends in their 20s, and it was definitely in the 20s where, like, I was definitely boy crazy and very like, oh, I'm so enamored. Like, it was definitely, I was having a crush here and there. Um, I would look at every guy as a potential. Are they single? Would they be interested in me? Can I get their attention? There was definitely that outlook, and that was still very toxic. The apple of my eye became trying to get a man. And that became a huge distraction. And distraction from what? Distraction from my relationship with God. So I became very centered on the fact that, oh, I can't have a happy life until I have a husband. And then I had a husband, that didn't happen. And then I was like, but I need a Christian husband. I need a husband that loves church and could have the same ideals. We would just be together having Bible studies left and right and praise and worshiping God all the time. We're constantly listening to Christian music. We'd encourage each other. Oh my gosh, it was so diluted. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that I see married couples that don't do that. Like, you can definitely, if that's how you relate to each other. But I was so deluded in my thinking that that's how it was because I didn't know. And church culture drew that picture for me, and they encouraged that line of thinking. So I was like, okay, yeah. and it never happened. And then they led me believing that there must be something wrong. I mean, there must be something wrong in my life if I wasn't married yet, if like you're like all my friends started getting engaged. But if you were in your early 30s and you didn't meet the one, you weren't engaged, like there must be something wrong with you. And then it's almost as if the church wants you to be paired up before they find you important and useful. And the reason I use that phrase now is because I did commit to a church. It was a Baptist church, mind you. And I even looked up the Baptist beliefs and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, I believe that. And then it came to where women in leadership, and then there was a lot of issues there. They don't want women to be leaders. They don't want women to take control. They want women to be below their husbands. They want them to be governed by their husbands. And I was like, in general, I somewhat believe that ideal if you're married, but we're talking about people who aren't married, and they didn't want that. They didn't want that ideal for their women in their church. And I was like, what? In fact, at that point in my life, I had been completely celibate, where I wasn't doing any kind of dating, any romance, any connection with men whatsoever. I was just cut off, and I was able. The only reason I said celibate is because it meant nothing. It meant no connection with guys. And I spent that effort that I was putting towards men to try to be more involved in church and commit to ministry and be more useful with my skills. And this church, it was a Baptist church, they didn't really like it because guess what? I'm not married. And you're asking for leadership roles that we don't think women should have. Oh my gosh. So I definitely left that church, and I see better ideals in the church I am now. But church culture like bolstered that ideal that I needed to wait for the one. Like while you're waiting, if you're faithful while you're waiting, it's almost like you're in a waiting room waiting for your name to be called. And then that never happens. It's like, well, this person came here after me. Why are they get to go before I do? Yeah, like it's kind of like that. And it definitely had a very unfair advantage. And it's not like I wasn't happy for my friends that ended up getting um, engaged and married, having families, the time that I wanted to do that. But I was definitely jealous. I was like, wait a minute here. It doesn't mean I'm any less faithful. And just because I don't have what they have doesn't mean I don't love God any less. Like I was still strong on my faith too. So yeah, there was a lot of issues that church kind of helped with that, or didn't help, should I say. Um, so that was a lie I believed about it. I'm not that there must be something wrong with me if I wasn't already married. Um, and then the fact that I didn't need to be married to serve church, to serve in a ministry, to serve God. You don't need to be married. And the other part where when I became celibate, and I'm telling this because it's I think it's a general belief. It doesn't have to be religious in nature. But there came a certain time, especially when I decided, I think I spent either a year or two really dedicated to being celibate. And it meant that there was any offers just off the table. This is me focusing on just not having a man part of my life. And I realized that I didn't need a man to be part of my life. Like I know in the beginning, I always believed the man would come and rescue me. They're gonna be a they're gonna be a man on a white horse, even though that's Jesus's role. But I expect him to be a knight in shining armor, like I was always told in these fairy tales as a child. And I felt that way about online dating. Like in my mind, they were gonna come and rescue me from this horrible life that I had at age 17. And now I realize like I didn't have a horrible life at age 17. But in my teenage mind, oh gosh, you gotta rescue me from this horrible life. That's generally what teenagers think. And so I I laugh because it is so silly now that I think about it. But I believed in these weird ideals. But when I gave up wanting a relationship, when I gave up, okay, I don't have to have a man, it became so liberating. And I don't mean like, oh, I'm a new person. No, I'm the same person. The difference is I wasn't heartbroken about giving it up. And I was so the search for a man in my life, and I don't mean like marriage. I mean, I wish that would come, but I already had that and got disillusioned with that. But I just wanted a relationship that was sustainable. And I'd been in a relationship for a year and that didn't work out. So I had a long-term relationship. It was the life partner, the future husband. I was so the apple of my eye became the hunt for marriage, became the hunt for a life partner. And when I say I got so distracted, but when I gave it up, when I said, okay, I'm gonna live as though that's never going to happen. And I'm going to see how my life would be different. And it is slightly different. Like I've been able to explore new avenues of my life, and I've been able to, and mind you, I've noticed that through all my sharing, none of my weight, I'm going to say maybe the very beginning it formed, but my weight as far as dating and having long-term relationships and stuff, my weight was never an issue. And if it was, it didn't really make me ashamed. Like I wasn't like, oh, okay, you're fat phobic. No, I just moved on. There were a lot other men that gave me the attention. So, but anyway, when I cut off relationships, um, I I realized that the friendships and the relationships I already had that didn't involve romance or dating were healthy enough. And when I focused and became a better person from that, I ended up not needing the companionship of a romance. Like I don't need a guy in my life. I've spent all these I think I was like 35 years old. I'm like, dude, if I can spend over 30 years without a man, and I'm doing it I'm living by myself and I'm paying my own bills and I'm adulting, like I didn't need a guy to save me from any of that. I didn't even need to be saved from any of that because I did it. So when I realized, well, I don't need a man, like what are they going to do? There haven't been a man to support me in a very long time. So I've been doing it. So I was like, well, okay, that's out the window. And then and that part of that disillusionment with men happened because of dating sites. And I think you know what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to go there. So weight wasn't my issue. And now I'm down to my current ideals. But one of the things that I realized is the truth that I live by, at least the truth I live by now, I was thinking about this before I made this video, was that if the very thing that you think you really want, and the moment you give it up, you're not heartbroken, it means you weren't supposed to have it in the first place. And I want you to really think about that statement. Because I thought I wanted children. And in my mind, because of how the church culture made me believe that's how my life was supposed to be, oh, my life didn't start until I had a husband and a family. But when I gave that up, when I said, okay, if that never happens, I gotta be at peace with that. If that never even takes place in my life, I need to be happy with my life. And I can't just keep searching for that nugget that never comes. And when I gave that up, I realized, oh my gosh, like I am not wanting it. And I really didn't want kids. I just thought I did. And so in my mind, if well, at least according to in my opinion, if it's something that you think you wanted, then you finally just gave it up and you weren't heartbroken about it, it didn't devastate you, it didn't alter your life, then you never needed it in the first place. It was either society or somebody else putting that on you, and that wasn't what you really wanted. Because when I became celibate for that year or two that I committed, I realized, what did I really want? Like, if a guy, like, I have really high standards as far as men are concerned, because like it's been over 5 years now since I've been celibate. And one of the things that I would like is they have to go to my church first and foremost, and they have to take me on a date. But also, before even any of that occurs, I have to get the green light from God. So if a guy does show interest in me, I first have to pray about it, and I have to seek counsel about it, and I have to listen to God about it. And that might take a little bit longer than just phoning a friend. Okay. Um, so I'm not as haphazard as I was when I was in my 20s. I'm not gonna jump on board. Oh yeah, guy likes me. Okay, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean you really have to be like, okay. And then comes some I should probably transition into this, because part of me, now that I'm doing this weight loss thing, and I've lost, I'm gonna say 46, 47 pounds, almost 50 pounds. I'm gonna say almost 50 pounds. I've lost like um 2 to 3 pant sizes. Because again, I've been gaining muscles, so the weight doesn't look like I've lost a lot of weight, but my body has gotten so much smaller. But one of the things that I was like, okay, one of the things that kind of curtailed my weight loss before was that I saw before and after pictures. And I'm gonna start there, even though you're thinking I'm gonna go off on a tangent about that. I like before and after pictures because I like to see the transformation. And um the body positivity movement might hate that concept. They're like, oh, it's toxic, blah blah blah. But when I look at people's pictures, I never once think they're ugly in any one of those pictures. I think one is absolutely amazing. I mean, you changed your life, obviously. And the other one, you're beautiful, but you knew you needed to improve. Like, I always thought every before picture was beautiful. I'm just saying. And um like I felt this with my best friend too, and she was never, her BMI never really hit 20, to be honest. She never was significantly overweight, but she carried her weight differently because she was petite. But I always seen her as beautiful and healthy. It didn't matter if she was chubby and had some weight gain. um and she still struggled with a lot of eating disorders in her mind. So that it didn't matter what size you're at, you're still struggling in your mind no matter who you are. But the before and after pictures are definitely like, okay, you know what? Their body type looked like me. They're as big as me. And look at them now. Like, okay, that this is possible. It's possible to lose weight. So I was encouraged by those stories. Transformation Tuesday, everything. I loved it. And I like looking at those before and after pictures. And the thing is in their mind, they're thinking that before picture is absolutely hideous, but the bravery it took them to put that on the internet for everybody else to see is just speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. And I'm proud that they even, there's no way I'm putting a picture of me in my underwear. I'm telling you right now, there's no way you're gonna get me even at my size right now, considering I was over 300 pounds 8 months ago. There was no way I'm gonna put a picture of me in my underwear just to show the progress. I'm not gonna do it. I am not gonna do it. And I'm extremely proud of those that can. And I don't even care if I get down to my ideal weight. There's no way that I'm going to show you a picture of myself in my underwear. And I am completely proud of those that are brave enough to do that. So anyway, moving on, because I could be going on forever for that. There's another issue that I kind of understand where the body positivity movement is going with that. And it's sort of very fine, fine line, very fine line. I'm going to get my hair cut, and so the next video, I'm going to be stylish, okay? My hair is horrible. But anyway, um, one thing that curtailed me before when I was going to the gym, prior to COVID and all that stuff happening, was I would see these stories and pictures of girls who were morbidly obese or significantly obese or whatever, and they would lose weight. They would be gym pictures. They would take a picture of the gym, and they would have, I was like, oh my gosh, they're bigger than me, and they must feel totally uncomfortable, even though they weren't ugly in the very least. But I was like, they just looked uncomfortable, and you knew they were in the gym for that purpose, is that they were just wanted to be healthy. They wanted to get better. And then the latest picture, they are all skinny and they have a boyfriend. And so that I know, like, after talking about the whole dating thing, what it was like for me and what I started to realize with myself, especially almost age 40, this is where I'm at right now in my life. But I I had an issue with the fact that, you know, why is it that those pictures are teaching you that you have to lose weight to get somebody? And this is where the body positivity movement kind of like goes off on a tangent, and I totally understand it now. But I don't think before and after pictures are toxic. I do, however, find it frustrating that the before picture says that that person isn't worthy to have a boyfriend until they've lost the weight in the after picture. And that is the message that definitely looks obvious. And I mean, it's almost like they use their weight loss photos to segue into the fact they met their future spouse because they lost weight. And I'm not saying I don't know the whole ordeal behind their love lives and stuff, and that is so, if I'm being judgmental, it is not my place. I wholeheartedly take responsibility. But the before and after pictures of stuff like that made me frustrated. Not because I wanted it, but because it was giving me the wrong message. Like, okay, I'm over 300 pounds and 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 like it's telling me the reason why I'm single is because I'm fat. And if I lose weight, then okay, my singleness will go away. I'll have guys look at me. I'll have guys want to date me. I'll have guys want to be engaged, marry me. And like, it's almost like if I didn't get into that weight loss, that the meeting the one wasn't going to happen. And this is beyond the whole church culture thing. And so I struggled with that. I'm just saying that as a fat person, I struggled with that. And it's not that I hated on them for getting their lives together, their health together, and then having a man in their life. It was the fact that, like, it's not them, it's not the women that I'm being judgmental about, because they bettered their life and they're happy. And I kind of made a joke about it when I was talking about it with myself. When I was thinking about this issue, I was kind of joking about it because I was like, well, they kind of lost all that weight. I mean, they must have lost like 100 to, actually, it must have been almost 200 pounds, but they gained it all back in the form of a boyfriend in their next picture. So it's like their before and after pictures is like, yeah, you lost all that weight, but look, you gained it all back in a human being standing next to you. So I, this is one of those jokes, but I'm like, um, it almost seemed like in order for you to find that one, you had to be fit in that size. And so I was like, well, that's not cool. I mean, is that the reason I'm single? And then you do have those, like, obviously that's not true, because you have a bunch of people that are fat that have boyfriends that are skinny. It's there, it's out there. So I can't necessarily say that that's true, but that was the message those pictures were sending. It was a message. It's just the message it was sending was that you had to lose weight and be transformative to find that person. And I was like, but where's, and I don't, like I said, I don't blame the woman on that part, but I blame the men. And the only reason I say I blame men, I'm not calling them fat phobic, but where were they before the weight loss? And I'm talking about in a I live in this county for decades. I'm not new. I'm the same person. And if I get that kind of attention when I lose more weight, let's say I lose 50 more pounds like I want to, um if I get to a very small size where I can shop anywhere for clothes, I guess. Um if I get the attention and I'm going to have trust issues with every guy that comes my way after I lose the weight, thinking, well, where were you when I was 300 pounds? Like, I'm not new. Where were you when I was 300 pounds? And I'm the same person. Just because I take the weight off doesn't mean my personality and character change. My life changes, but I personally don't change. So I still love the same things. I still love the same foods. I still love the same movies. I still love the same extra. I still love Jesus. Like none of that changes when I lose weight. But then again, the guys. So I get the whole, oh my gosh, you're fat phobic if you don't date me because your preference is to date a skinny person. Well, those people I don't want in my life. So if I'm skinny and then they come and want to date me, I used to be fat, and no, I'm probably not going to give them time of day. I probably won't. But I'm also not going to give those overweight guys the time of day either on the other aspect because they're not healthy, and if they're not bettering their life or getting healthy with their life, there's no way I want that part of my life, considering that used to be my old life. So I'm not gonna, those lives don't mesh together very well. So it's not a good ideal. But if it's somebody that, like, I'm not gonna judge them for being fat, but if their lifestyle is not fitting my lifestyle, as in health and fitness and nutrition, then why would I have that part of my life? But anyway, so that was a struggle I'm still seeing and I'm still sensing. I haven't had any suitors. I haven't had any guys interested, thank God, because I don't want it. But that's before I started doing all that. That's what I started to think about, was that, okay, if I get really skinny, if I'm taking this huge transformation, like these before and after photos that I keep seeing, and I'm proud of the fact that those before and after photos are trophies, and I'm proud of them because they have, especially how much I know it's a struggle for me to lose weight. That is a huge ordeal. Anyway, so that's what I have been thinking about. I'm not going to be open up to date just because I lost weight. I'm not going to be like, okay, guys, I'm on the market again. Here I am. Bam, who wants to date me? No, no, because that obviously, when what I described earlier in the video, obviously that's not where I'm going to be at. And that's not, like, weight had nothing to do with my readiness to date. But that also kind of I do have to call out men for that factor, is that men naturally are very visual seekers, and they will look for women that they look for attraction. And it sucks because if they don't find over, like, obese people attractive, they're going to overlook that person, and then that person's going to feel slighted and hurt. But the difference is, sorry, fat acceptance people, the difference is how you handle that rejection. You could say, okay, they don't want me, but then move on, because there's a guy who's going to love and respect you regardless of your size, and that's the guy that you want in your life. You don't want to force a guy that doesn't think you're attractive to like you when they don't find you attractive. That's not going to do anything for your self-esteem. And it's not, just because you think you can change them doesn't make it any more authentic. It just makes it even worse. So let those guys be that. They can be that. And if they find love, and that's fine. And you don't have to have that part of your life. That's fine. But the difference is how you react to that. And I'm talking about those TikTokers that want to bash men that don't want to date fat people. Because you know what? I don't want to date a fat guy either. And I'm going to be honest about that. I swipe left. I've done it. And I'm going to tell you, even when I went back on there a few months ago just to experiment, I'm I'm still looking at men that were very uncomfortable. And I'm talking about, like, in my experience, like, I looked at these men and they either had face shots because they weren't comfortable showing their whole bodies, or if I talked to them, because I'm like, okay, well, they're overweight, okay, no big deal, so am I. So I talked to them, and then they were completely the opposite of what I wanted in my life. I don't want that for my life. So I don't necessarily think I was judging them based on their size, but more their lifestyle. and you really want somebody you can click with in your lifestyle. So like let's just get real here. And if a guy, I've had a few on there that literally say, I don't want no fatties talking to me. I'm a fat person, so okay, let's move on. Like, but even if I wasn't fat and I saw that, I probably wouldn't talk to that person anyway. So let's just say that is how you react to that. That's how you react to it, not what they're reacting to you. So I want to just put that out there. That is my rant, in my opinion. I've heard so many TikTok people be all, okay, you're fat phobic. That is being used like donut sprinkles. It is so abused, and you all need to stop using it because it's not going to mean much 10 years from now. But um, I'm going to just say that that is one of those things that I'm not going to give up on. And so I have actually discussed what I need to discuss. I made a list, try to stay to the script. I have been looking at that list down there. But and this has been my experience with the non-Christian side and the Christian side. I've done sown my wild oats. I feel like I'm old, but I'm not at the very least accepting of the fact that just because a guy doesn't want to date me because I'm fat doesn't mean they're fat phobic. And okay, there's where I lost my thought. Okay, men are visual seekers. They were built that way. They were made that way. And in my belief in the Bible, I mean, Adam looked at Eve and was like, "Whoa." That's why she's called Whoa Man. No, anyway, that's sort of a joke, but it's a bad joke. But he like was ingrained to see the woman and react. And we women are different. We're in for more of a connection. And that part is just ingrained in us. And so when a guy sees somebody they're not attracted to, it has nothing to do with the fact that they may be overweight or have blonde hair or like those are definitely preferences. And you know what? Preferences aren't fat phobic or evil in the very least. And then there is that thing where it's like, oh, we're in a category of disabled people. No, like you can change your weight, you can change your health, but people who are disabled or or are black can't change their skin color. So don't put yourself in those categories because you can change your health. You just don't want to because it's too hard for you. And so I'm putting that out there. I think I may have said that in one of my previous videos, but uh, men are visual. So I wouldn't bash any man that doesn't think I'm attractive. Just move on. Because you will find a man that finds you attractive and will treat you how you're supposed to be treated and will make you feel worthy and loved and no matter what size you're at. And that's the man you want in your life, not the man you think needs to be part of your life because you think they're attractive. Like, no, that's toxic and it's immature, TikTok. Immature. I'm making weird faces. Okay. Yeah, I think TikTok's wholly immature, but either way, I don't have a good opinion about TikTok or social media in general. My cat's being bad. Okay, I will conclude this video. It has been really long, and if you've listened to it, thanks for listening, and like and subscribe if you've made it this far. Like and subscribe and even share my video. I'm not positive about this promoting myself thing, but if it works for you, if this has helped you in any way, and if you relate, thank you, and bye.